Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Obsessive Compulsive Gaming. I am the Obsessive Compulsive Gamer, and this is my review for Unsealed, the MARE. So, dear viewers, this particular video game released today. And just like that beautiful bearded bastard Barry Burton, you're probably wondering,
what is this?
Unsealed the MARE is one of those first-person horror, completely devoid of narrative, run away from the big ugly monster whilst trying to collect certain items type of video game thingamajigs, in which we do just that. Run away from a big, ugly monster type thing, whilst having some semblance of a narrative delivered to us via sticky notes, all the while setting fire to teddy bears for reasons. So let's not waste any time and review this bloody horror video game the only way I know how, badly. And let me just say that this review is, of course, as always, for entertainment purposes only. Also, I happen to be on my period today, so boy oh boy, did this video game pick the wrong day to mess with me, and mess with me it did. So this is usually the part of the review where I tell you what I liked, what I didn't like, sum up my thoughts, and then send you on your merry way. But since I'm in such a foul mood, I thought it might be appropriate to just cut to the chase and get straight to what I didn't enjoy about this game, or as I like to call it, the bollocks. You know, when I first saw the title of this game, Unsealed, the MARE, I had to say to myself, a mare? Isn't that a kind of horse? Little did I know, dear viewers, that throughout my time with this game, I would realize that it has quite a lot in common with a horse. That is to say that the experience itself is complete and utter horseshit. I'm going to skip over talking about the game's visuals because I've seen them a million times before in so many of these other indie-developed horror games. That is to say that most of it is probably an asset flip. There's another word in there that I could use to describe this game: ass. And I know this game was developed, I believe, from what I read anyway, by one person, so it's not entirely their fault that their video game just so happens to be crammed with everything I absolutely detest about these indie first-person horror games. A reliance on stealth, which I can't stand, having to hide and or run away from an unkillable enemy, something I also cannot stand. In fact, one of the more famous examples of that kind of game, Outlast, I would rather cut into my groin with a spoon than have to play that game ever again. The game also suffers from having the most banal gameplay loop I've ever seen in an indie horror game. That being that you move through a stage, either a basement or a series of corridors or a bloody house, looking for bloody teddy bears to set on fire for reasons. Even more frustratingly is when that mechanic is combined with the fact that you're trying to stay away from the unkillable enemy that I mentioned before. So not only are you having to look for these bloody teddy bears, you're also having to sneak around whilst being assaulted by every bloody conceivable jump scare under the sun, be it accidentally running into the unkillable abomination opening a door and seeing the unkillable abomination standing there. Or something even more ridiculous like a bloody pipe falling down from the bloody ceiling. So I can assure you, if you have a weak heart or are allergic to jump scares like I am, stay the hell away from this game. If you're hoping for some nice cutscenes, maybe an FMB or two, some AAA horror game aesthetic, you're going to have to go elsewhere to find that, dear viewers. This is just the same bloody first-person horror game that you probably played a million times before, with the same bloody mute protagonist running around in the dark with a flashlight or a goddamn lighter, and a story that is very much completely non-existent. I put more than a few hours into this game, and quite frankly, dear viewers, I would have rather spent those few hours polishing one of my neighbor's dog's turds, because at least it would not be anywhere near as frustrating as playing this bloody game. And by the time I would be finished polishing said turd, it would probably most notably look better than this game does. Like I said, dear viewers, not the developer's fault. People seem to lap up this kind of game, especially those idiot YouTubers who like to turn on their face cam and scream at the top of their lungs every time there's a single pixel out of place in the bloody video game. And a lot of YouTubers have made their career on doing just that. And whilst I am jealous of their success, I'm not going to play these kind of games and even pretend that they bring me even an ounce of enjoyment. So if you'll excuse me, I'm going back to play my 9th full game playthrough for Resident Evil Requiem. But if you just so happen to like the look of this game, then feel free, dear viewer. Download the game. Maybe you will enjoy it. I, on the other hand, I'm still sticking to my comparison that the MARE mentioned in this video game's title clearly relates to horseshit. So there you have it, dear viewers, another review by yours truly. If you enjoyed this little review of mine, don't forget to give me a thumbs up. If you haven't enjoyed it, well then, feel free to give me a thumbs down. But please remember the single most important thing I always tell you, dear viewer, and that is to always stay obsessed with gaming. Are you still here? Oh, you must have really enjoyed this video then. In that case, you had better subscribe to the channel and check out our other content. Otherwise, you're a booby pants, and no one wants to be a booby pants.